There have been some stories in the media lately and a lot of discussion around women who have expressed experiences, sexual experiences that they've had with men where they gave nonverbal cues or subtle hints as to their discomfort, feeling uncomfortable, not wanting to have sex, and those boundaries being violated. And around this discussion, there is also a lot of blaming women for not giving a harder no, not getting up and leaving the situation, not kicking the person out. And this is really problematic. And if you're one of those people, I invite you to sit down and shut it, because I'm going to explain to you a little something about sex culture, consent, and the complexities of why some women will stop saying no even when they really want to. So let's begin. Number one, let's talk about social conditioning. So this is a really, really important underlying part of what is coming into play in these sexual encounters. Let's start with women. Women are conditioned and socialized from very young ages through media, through their encounters with other people, through our culture, oftentimes through religion as well, to cater to the desires, the needs, the wants of men and other people. Women are socialized to put other people first, to think of themselves last. Women are also socialized to be nice, to be polite, to be a good girl, not to rock the boat, don't be too aggressive. And we are also socialized that if we say no, you're a bitch, you're being prude, you're being stuck up, you're being a real snob. Ooh, you're giving me a challenge. That we're not allowed to say no. And there are a lot of experiences that individuals have had or have heard about that teach women also that saying no can very quickly escalate to rape, violence, or even death. Even looking around at the whole Harvey Weinstein controversy and hot shit mess that happened and everything that's coming up in Hollywood with the Me Too movement, you are seeing women who are facing very real consequences for speaking up and very real consequences when they say no. This is what we have to deal with as women. Pause. Let's take a look over here at men. Men are socialized very differently. Men are socialized to feel entitled to women's bodies or other people's bodies, to be entitled to whatever it is that they want. I want, I take. Men are also socialized to see things as a challenge. Someone says no, now it's a competition, it's a conquest, it's a challenge. Ooh, she wants me to convince her. And that's not really what's happening. Men are taught that their needs get to come first and they get to take what they want. And as much as we talk about it, a lot of times men are conditioned to think that no doesn't really mean no, or that if there's not an explicit no, it means I can keep going and she wants it. Now let's bring this together. Woman with her woman conditioning and a man with his man conditioning come together into what could potentially be a sexual encounter. She's not really feeling it. He's totally feeling it. She's giving subtle hints. She's trying to set up boundaries. And he's not really listening because he's socialized to keep going for what he wants. And that if it's not a no, it's okay to keep pushing until she says something. So here's the thing. On the woman's side, she's setting up boundaries that are already being pushed and they're not being respected. So what happens here is very often there comes a fear. Well, my boundaries are already not being respected. What if I give a hard no and they really start fighting me on it? What if this turns into a violent situation? What is really going to happen to me if I really tell this person that they cannot have what they want? Meanwhile, the guy over here sometimes, maybe not always, is oblivious to this experience that the woman is having because he's looking for the explicit no and not paying attention to the boundaries that she is putting up. So we end up in a situation where the woman feels violated and the man doesn't even necessarily know he's violating her. What are we supposed to do then? Then comes the dialogue. about why she didn't just say no, why she didn't just walk away, etc., etc. And this is where we really need to start changing the dialogue around sex, sex culture, consent, and all the complexities that come into these situations. You have to understand each side's conditionings to really understand how we need to make a change as a society and as individuals. Because bottom line, it is not the woman's job to compensate for the errors in the male conditioning. The idea, in fact, that it is the woman's job to compensate, that it's her responsibility to change the situation and only her responsibility because she's the one uncomfortable, that in fact is reinforcing our own conditioning, that this is their conditioning, so we have to work around it. No, everyone needs to work on their conditioning. We as women need to work on breaking down these conditionings that we have to cater to men, cater to their desires, and that we're not allowed to be assertive about what we want. Men need to work on their conditioning of, I'm going to go after it because I'm not seeing explicit no, and also need to understand that there is a very real danger that women are facing all the time when it comes to men. And if you don't believe it, you can Google the plethora of women who have made posts and written articles about, even just on social media, men who have come into their DMs trying to talk to them, and when they get rejected, they go from complimenting the woman to threatening her life in 5 seconds flat. It is scary for women. And men have a responsibility in this because they are the reason why it is scary for women. Everything here, these two sides of the conditioning, need to change. And so does our dialogue around sex. These encounters may be normal, they may be common, but that doesn't mean that they're okay. It is time for a change to happen. And that change starts with you, and it starts with me. And it starts with changing the dialogue around sex, around consent, around sex culture, rape culture, and in particular with examining our own internalized and underlying conditionings and beliefs when it comes to these encounters. That's part of doing the work. And if you are ready to examine more of your internalized conditionings around sex, relationships, the opposite sex, or your own gender, then you can go into the description of this video and get my free video and workbook guide, Unblock Your Dream Life. It's not just about unblocking your dream life. It's really about getting into the underlying beliefs and oppressive conditionings that you're holding around any particular area of your life. Thank you for watching. My name is Kristen Iris. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so that you get notifications. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on this video, on this discussion, on this topic of sex, consent, and the subtleties of why women may stop saying no even when they really want to say no. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Stand in your power and break your chains.